fellow young people who are inside these rehabilitation centers who are in fact victims of circumstances like poverty and parental neglect, and they still suffer. They still don't receive any opportunities inside. I am Junbert Pabon from the Boy Scouts of the Philippines, and I'm a Messengers of Peace hero. There are children in the Philippines that are deprived of chances of quality education and chances of living life with dignity. And unfortunately, some of these children fall into the crack of the society brought by these societal ills, which made them commit acts of troubles and violence. And these children, ages 15 to 18 years old, who have committed offenses under the Philippine laws are called as the children in conflict with the law. Once caught, they are placed in a detention facility or a temporary child custody facility. When we first entered in a rehabilitation center, we've noticed that there is no child-like intervention being offered inside. What these rehabilitations do is they only place these children inside the rehabilitation center, and they're branded as criminals. They're placed in a prison-like facility where where children are sleeping in dilapidated quarters. They are crammed in one rooms and they don't receive any support. And that's something we wanted to solve, to give solution. We wanted to intervene and use as scouts. We wanted to break the cycle of children offending again, because it's a waste of years for those children. Fellow young people who are inside these rehabilitation centers who are in fact victims of circumstances like poverty and parental neglect, and they still suffer. They still don't receive any opportunities inside. We wanted to offer programs inside the rehabilitation centers, and we want to make these rehabilitation centers from a prison-like environment to becoming a home-like environment for these children in conflict with the law. So we decided to create a holistic development program which will cover the 5 aspects of a child, which is based on the SPIRE model of happiness, which is spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional. And under the relational aspect, we created a skills training program, which under that is a Boy Scouts Auxiliary Brigade. We brought scouting from the outside rehabilitation center inside the rehabilitation center and used scouting as a non-formal education to give these children the opportunity to develop their skills and use that to reintegrate back to their own communities. So the main goal is to really transform these lawbreakers into peacemakers, because we believe that if given the right opportunities and if they're immersed in right conditions, they can also become better versions of themselves. We are not just impacting the lives of the children in conflict with the law, but we're also allowing the social development center or the rehabilitation center become a more conducive facility. One success story is Jim is one of these participants who actively participates in all our activities. So he would join the competitions, he would join the trainings that we do. And every time we do these things, we actually give certificates and medals to winners. So Jim kind of like collected all of those certificates and medals. And during his trial in the court, he actually used those recognitions and certificates as a proof that I'm making an effort to actually become better. And that was actually enough for the court to allow him to be released from the center. And now Jim is a peer to his fellows, children in conflict with the law. So he would sometimes go back and he's already the one teaching some of the trainings. And that's so inspiring and motivating. Even just you're seeing one life being transformed, it already means a lot for us. We know that we have the capacity as scouts to impact and to create change in the lives of these children. And throughout the years, we also made sure that we use our platforms and we use our opportunities to make the people aware that, hey, these problems are not just problems that you could dust off. These problems are needed to be addressed. In the future, I envision the program to be that scouting will be part of every rehabilitation center in the Philippines. I hope that it will be a recognized nationwide diversion program that will integrate scouting and non-formal education in the diversion process of children in conflict with the law. So we hope to capacitate the communities where they live in and not just doing programs inside the rehabilitation center. So it's more of like a prevention over than cure. And we also hope that through these activities, the government will see that this is a real issue that needs solving. I think that if you continue doing the good things you do without expectations of getting a recognition or achievements, people will just see it and people will recognize you for that. Like, you don't need to make recognitions as your ultimate goal, but as long as you know that your intentions is doing the right thing, you know that you're in a good path, and yeah, you'll never get lost to that.